everybody, and thank you for tuning into CLF Research. Today I want to introduce you to Project 1979 S-500. Now before anybody flips out and goes, okay, there was no S-500, there was no G&L S-500 in 1979. Yes, I totally know that. It came out in 1982, and I got a few guitars around here that I'm going to use for some examples. But just to cut to the chase of what this is if you just take our modern S-500, it's like, I just wanted to use an aluminum pickguard. I'm going to have it done with the CLF black crinkle coat stuff like the Doheny V12. And then we have the beautiful little CLF machine knobs. Oh, I just love these things. And of course the S-500 mini expander. So if you just go, okay, I see what you did there, and you've got your vintage style arm, the early CLF arm. And the other thing that you got going on here is, okay, I see you've got your early G&L headstock on there, and we've done that on the 40th anniversary collection S-500. Maybe we can fly one in so you can see what that is. Okay, that's an S-500 current production thing, but it's got the retro headstock and clusins on it, and you know, just a little touch of vintage vibe. That's this headstock. The S-500 kind of as we know it today. It looks very much like a Stratocaster, okay? So look, fine, you know, registered trademark of our good friends at Fender Musical Instruments Corporation in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. That version of the S-500 didn't come out until 1989. I can imagine. The Leo's just less than a couple of years from passing at that time. As Leo's Parkinson's sort of progressed, he just became more focused just on the technology things, because that's what he could really manage in here. And as far as his styling, he was just sort of letting that go. Some of the earlier things that George had designed, sort of championed in the G&L styling, were sort of being pushed aside, if you will. If we think about how the SC2 guitar, let's fly that in, boom. The SC2 guitar, look at those pickups. And then they got lifted a couple years later and put into a Telecaster shape here, as you can see here. I don't know where I'm pointing. I'm assuming it's over here somewhere. So what was happening is Dale Hyatt, who ran G&L Music Sales, which was also in the same building further down in the 2548 building. Dale was an old ex-Fender sales rep. So you can imagine, he's kind of digging, you know, there's a lot of stuff people would dig in, oh, that pickup tech is you're digging and stuff. But at the time, stylistically, some of the stuff that maybe was going on at G&L was too out there, whatever it was. If you take Dale, he's used to selling things, particular tools. You know, you can imagine me an ex-Fender rep. So, hey, why don't we take that stuff and we'll put this in this. And in fact, he was so intent on making the S-500 happen, the current iteration, shall we say, that looks like this. I think he just grabbed a 1969 Strat body to have it come in here, and we're going to trace that. So I don't know which one, but it's like, okay, we're just going to make this thing go. We're going to get it going. And so by 1989, these things got packaged into their current sort of S-500 styling, which is oddly retro. So this is going, okay, I accept that. What I'm going to do then is just have a field day with backdating this stuff even further and just going, okay, it's just a mashup of stuff. So it's like, okay, the S-500 styling, you know, the Stratocaster shape, that started in 1989. But let's pretend it happened 10 years sooner. We're going to do that in 1979. And he probably would have had an aluminum pickguard on there and these cool knobs, you know. So it's like the what if. What if we just took the cool, funky stuff that was going on in here and, you know, 79, 80, the dawn when things were starting to cook and really look forward, and we mashed it up with some of the retro styling stuff. So I thought, look at it at the logo art. If we take what was going on here in the late 70s, okay, what was still being manufactured here were the Music Man instruments, and they were more sort of a playful style in the logo art. You know, like the Music Man logo was businesslike, but then it might say Stingray or Sabre, and it looked more playful, I think. You know, because it was. If you look what time those came out, you know, that's when they were working on those 1975 when those logos were done. By 1980, when G&L launched. The first model was this, the F-100, with these two MFD humbucking pickups. And again, you can see the headstock. Where does this come from? This is the dawn of G&L. And again, with that cool little Leo's string retainer there. So the thing I wanted to point out about this is on the logo, stylistically, it went from being sort of whimsical of 70s to like military, like seriousness. I mean, because that was sort of the vibe. They wanted to project advanced technology, you know, this is boom, serious stuff now from Leo Fender, you know? So everything looked kind of high tech for the time, if you could imagine, because they're thinking, imagine they're in 1979 and they're looking forward to 1980. What's that going to be like? What's the aesthetic going to be like? It's probably going to be futuristic and modern, and we can't be silly anymore. We got to look serious. That's what I think was going on. So this is what George did here. It's nice stuff. I think it's very elegant. And then this George's body shape, it's a beautiful shape. It's so comfortable. He's put a lot of time into the shape. And this shape was not just on this guitar. This shape, I say wasted on that because we didn't make that many of these, but this shape did a lot of other duty. For example, in 1982, that shape was reused for the first G&L S-500 model. So he's kind of got this extra big headstock because mass was cool then, you know, you wanted to have more mass. Mass was sustain. That was sort of the aesthetic going on, or a lot of the belief, you know, it's like some more. You imagine how looked the 70s Fender headstocks, you know, it was just like, let's put more mass on it. Mass is good, heavy is good. Anyway, so we have this, but still with this very sort of business-like logo here. Little flourish, but, you know, still could be serious. And down here, we have a two-piece, we have a control plate and a pick guard. Again, the aluminum that is the crinkle-coated. This is beautifully warm. And the original S-500 pickups were made with a rectangular shape, sort of to match the vibe of like if you looked at the L2000 pickup or the L1000 pickup first, you know, with the little ears on it. He carried over that rectangular shape to these single coils, just as he had on the less familiar, but you've just seen it now, F-100. Here was this S-500, and it has these new generation magnetic field design pickups. And it has this new passive treble bass system, so the treble and the bass work on all three pickups. It's got this cool new vibrato, Leo's dual Fullerton vibrato, but, you know, maybe it looked a little bit funky for some people. But again, this was the early 80s. So what happened is this kind of got reworked, if you will, into this model, the Skyhawk, which is originally born Nighthawk, but that was just 1 year, so let's just forget that for a moment. This Skyhawk, and that's as we know it today. So the Skyhawk has very similar single coils, rounded ears. Essentially what you have is a styling makeover. I mean, George did a killer job when he did the pick guard on this, and look at this control plate. Look at the way even this line of the pickup flows into this arc and the way this just falls to hand. It's like, I gotta give George a lot of credit, but maybe at the time people were just used to the familiar, so there you go. And while George was trying to push styling aesthetics with functional justification, not just, you know, let's look different, but styling things that he could point to, hey, there is a functional benefit here, because he has to sell Leo on this stuff. So just flourish, Leo's not into it. But if you're gonna do something that looks quite a bit different, show me why is this gonna be better for a guitar player? Or why will some people like it at least, right? This is an old Skyhawk. I think it's from, oh shoot, 84-ish, right around there. Okay, there was a sister model to the Skyhawk, and it was called Cavalier. I don't know if you can see that. Again, you can see same body shape, which went back to the 1980 F-100. You can see these forms, same thing as on the Skyhawk, but it has two angled magnetic field design mini humbuckers. So they're really just like these, some kind of big, thick, jangly, robust, single coily things. They, if you look at them, it's like, oh, that's a two humbucker. Nah, forget about it. More like mini humbucker land, but there's just their own bag. Now, this one has a switch, and the switch is to control a preamp. So this one, this Cavalier, has a little onboard preamp, and all this does is kick it in or kick it out. So if it's out, everything works. Volume, the PTB system, the passive treble and bass, all the stuff works. All this is that little buffer preamp. All that does is just intercepts the signal from the pickups, and it says, hey, Cord, hey, no problems with you. You're not going to load my pickup. So just a buffer preamp. I've explained it in other videos, so hopefully you'll see that. This is the little battery plate for the, the cover. So there's a 9-volt battery behind this little thing. But here's the thing I wanted to point out on this. Whereas this Skyhawk, see, it doesn't have any extra little mini toggle. And in fact, it didn't even have the mini toggle, the Leo expander switch to hook up the neck and the middle or all three pickups as our S-500 does today. When this came out, it had a normal 5-way and that was it. No expander switch. On the Cavalier, this is not an expander switch, but we looked at, hey, there's a location. Why is this here? And I remember years ago George explaining to me, because I thought it was weird that this switch was like really close to this knob. Like, what was going on with that? And he explained it, and I thought, oh my God, that's genius. So check this out. So you've got your volume. I'm playing my volume, treble, bass, boo, 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 boo. Okay, if I want to have another control, I want it to be like really easy to use, he's treated it as like this little secondary control here. Because when my fingers come in like this, right? And usually like my fourth finger or my thumb are going to fall right there on that switch. So if I just want to kick it in for solos, I can just boom, boom. And my hand isn't doing any extra, like, doesn't have to go somewhere else to get that switch. It's like I'm already in the zone. This is George Fullerton. This is the kind of creativity that he had and that he put into the thought. And the thing is, he has to sell Leo and people on these things. He couldn't just go, well, how do you think my styling is? He had to sell it. But just because he could sell it within the company doesn't necessarily mean that it was successful being sold outside the company. In this day and age, it's different because now it's like we're celebrating these styles that George did, along with the technology that Leo did, as we always had, and people are really digging it. So just note where this guy is right here. In 2018, we brought the Skyhawk back. So it had been gone for, since the 80s. And essentially, what we have is the modern S-500, a bit backdated. There's a slight change in the pickup position, but essentially, it's like you took the S-500 and de-stratified it, and you just put it back into George Fullerton's styling, Just let it be the G&L George and Leo thing. That Cavalier had that neat little control switch here. We used the version of the Cavalier plate with the little hole here, so on the new 2018 and onward Skyhawk, CLF Research Skyhawk, it's got this little mini toggle that is the same switch as we have on the S-500. So we've sort of backed that into this because, hey, if we're going to go to all this trouble, we're going to give you Leo's expander. So the beautiful thing is that the Leo Fender expander switch is just right here in place of that preamp switch on that old Cavalier. So this is all about taking the Leo Fender technology and backing it into that George Fullerton bold styling and just going, hey, I'm different and I'm here to kick ass, I'm not here to kind of stand in for so-and-so, I'm here to kick ass. And I kind of liked that. And the immense effort George went to should not be wasted. And now that we're celebrating it, people are digging it. That notwithstanding, what if we take some of these little stuff and we just go, okay, let's put it back on the other pizza. You know what I mean? So now what we got is a mashup of things. So the CLF Research 2018 Skyhawk. So it brings us back to what I'm doing here. Taking some of that stuff, the cool knobs and stuff like that, the things, some of the bolder bits and some of George's stuff, and then just putting it back on the old double cutaway shape, right? And so far this is going pretty good. And here's where we're at. Okay, this is my little super crappy decal. And this decal goes face down on the headstock after, you know, there's a little bit of finishing on there. Anyway, I think it's rad. So let me tell you about what's going on with this logo. If we go back to the late 70s, okay, and take this Music Man Stingray 1 guitar. Okay, the Stingray 1, you know, it's kind of like, hey, I'm here to party, you know? It looks like it's here to have a good time. You know, which was, imagine 1975, that's totally what the culture was about. It was like, hey, we're here to have a good time. Even if there's economic misery, hey, we're here to party. That's kind of how the culture was, and that sort of reflected it. It was fun, you know? Okay, so imagine this. It's the late 70s, and it's before they got to that serious 1980, I guess the future, we're going to be technical and badass, that's how we're going to be. But it's still the 70s, and S-500's showing up. It's going to show up like, you know, it would show up like a boxer at the time, you know? And it's like meeting its hero, you know? But it's all modern and it's all beefed up and it's got these big mean pickups on this big bridge and all this stuff that's like, rah, 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 rah. So it's kind of like a superhero. I almost wanted to make it fun where it's like, here's this S, there's flames coming out of it, a big star, I don't know, it's military or 500 horsepower, 500 cubic inches, whatever that craziness is. I wanted to be like, I'm here and I respect you who came before, but unfortunately I have to get in the ring and kick your ass, you know? I'm sorry, sir. I'd like to, you know, like I'd like to get your autograph before I have to unfortunately beat you up. So that's kind of the vibe. Like that S-500 is there to party and it's there to kick ass. So I really dug that. This is what happens. I go to these like free font things. You know, everybody in the business does this. And so you get an idea of a name and you like put it in the computer and you're like, what does it look like with that font, that font, that font? So you go through all this crap and kind of narrow it down. And then, you know, I found something that I thought was kind of cool. So then you take that, you tweak it a bit, and it's like, oh man, now my little pet project, my Project 1979 S-500, now it's got a personality. So all I got to do is finish this thing up. So I'm going to pull this thing apart, and hopefully this neck can be recycled for this purpose. So that's about it for today. I am not going to make you watch while I take this stupid neck off because I've already told you way too much. I'm sorry that was TMI. I was hoping I was going to get through this without getting way into the weeds with old styling things and stuff, but it kind of probably gives you some context as to what the heck am I doing with this weird project, my Project 1979 S-500. So we will see you soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.